Welcome everyone to the EPTL podcast. I know this name has been mentioned in the EPTL podcast for around 10 episodes. So I say we interview the man himself, Mr. Naveen Mahajan. He is an Indian Administrative Service Officer in the Rajasthan cadre and the Principal Secretary to the Government of Rajasthan. He, among all, is also a avid tennis player. He was associated with EPTL in season one, and I would believe that he's had a huge impact on how EPTL is and has been transformed up until today. Naveen sir, I do welcome you to the EPTL podcast.
Thank
Sir,
you.
sir,
I acknowledge whatever you have said with humility.
Sir, I do wish to ask you one question, which is, I know that I've spoken to Virendra sir about the EPTL kaise aaya, how did it come into being? But what I wish to ask you is, how did you see it? How I mean, at its very nascent stage, how did you perceive this tournament, and what were your, let's say, contributions towards developing to what it is today?
Uh, now there is an increasing trend to have these kind of option-based Premier Leagues in different sports. So it possibly started with IPL in a big way in India, and now you have kabaddi, you have hockey, you have soccer, you have so many other sports in which such auction-based Premier Leagues they've been launched. So when Virender and his team they were toying with this idea of doing a similar kind of a thing at a national level, uh, focused primarily on engineers in tennis, I thought it was a noble idea. I had been associated with the Doctors Premier League in tennis. Uh, that is about 5 6 years old or maybe more. So that has come up in a big way, both cricket and tennis in the Doctors format. So they've been sticking largely to Rajasthan. So when Virender came up with this idea that we do it for the engineers, but raise the level from state to all India level, I thought it was a bit daring, but at the same time, we thought if we click, it will be much more wider participation and much more diverse kind of conversation. So I'm really glad that the first edition it came off very well. They were it was a very enthusiastic kind of a participation from all corners of the country and people of all varied backgrounds and different age groups. They actually traveled from different parts of the country to be in Jaipur for the first edition. So my contribution in the first edition was to facilitate a few sponsorships because it was the opening league chapter, and I know whosoever is the organizer, he struggles with such sponsorships. So that was one. Second, I chose to also co-own a tennis team. So that further added my stakes in making it a success. So I think it came off very well. And in the second chapter, which we are having this year, I think the response has been overwhelming, and I look forward to participating.
Sir, I want to ask you a very specific question about not just season one, but the way that it is transformed, like the way that the EPTL has transformed. Where did you, and I know you will give a detailed response or perhaps even a more measured response when I say, what were the limitations of season one that you believe we overcame in season two?
I think in season one, there was a jury which was trying to rate players based on their video clips. So I thought it did not, it was not the right strategy because if you're doing a practice session or if you're playing club level tennis and you send your videos, chances are that you will be sending your best video. And then videos can be deceptive. Match temperament is something else, and when you do a practice match, it's something else. So how you perform under pressure in knockout situations, that basically defines a tennis player. So what we discovered that most of the rankings which were given to players based on such video intakes and analysis by the jury, they turned out to be bit misleading. So the team compositions they got distorted, and that was a major shortcoming or limitation in season one. But now in season two, this has been worked upon, and I think in this edition, it's going to be pretty competitive. This is going to be pretty close to what the players' actual playing levels are. So there is a lot of input from the peer group where they play. So these ratings they are going to be much more closer to reality. So that will make most teams come up with balanced composition, and that will add to the competitive nature of the tournament in this season.
Sir, you're also a proud owner of a team, and this for the consecutive second season. I've asked this to a bunch of team owners that I interviewed on the EPTL podcast, and they had interesting things to say. So, the owner of Mayo Marines, or for that matter, Uday Tigers, everybody just had an interesting strategy to go about. What has been your strategy like to make sure that your team, and I know that you do wish to win. I don't think that you would accept any less. So, what has been your strategy for your team?
So our strategy is I've tried picking up players whom I've known either through season one or since long. So rather than bet on somebody whom I haven't seen playing, uh, I'll rather go by you know the reliability factor. So my strategy is simple. If I know the player and if I am convinced that he's worth being part of my team, I take him. And then we come up with good combinations to advance to the later stages of the tournament.
Sir, one of the ideas that came about when I was interviewing Virendra sir was a very interesting one, and I really liked it. I wanted to know your thoughts about that idea. So Virendra sir said that now we have around 4 to 5 female tennis players in our league. He envisions that he should open and if it does come to being that he would open a specific engineer women premiers tennis league. What do you think of that idea? Do you think that that's a feasible idea in future?
So in future, it can be explored, but I think if I remember correctly, there were about half a dozen women players who were, available as part of option. So still that number is very minuscule. Uh, we also picked up a lady in our tennis team, and in fact, we'll try giving her a chance to show her skills. This will motivate other teams also to do the same. In fact, we were the first one to pick up a lady in our team, and I'm glad then the other teams they also followed suit. But I think the participation of women players then it has to improve considerably for that kind of a situation, to be contemplated. As of now, it appears to be a bit far-fetched, but yes, in future, you can't rule it out.
Right, sir. Sir, I now wanted to ask you. I know I've asked you a lot about EPTL and the logistics of it. I wanted to ask you about the way you manage time. So you're an IS officer, and there's you work. I would assume that you work 26 hours a day, and I really do hope you're getting the sleep that you need. But I really do wish to ask you, how do you manage your time? Balancing let's say tennis, which is your passion, and your job as well as your family. How do you divide it? As a young person, I really wish to know the secret to that time management formula.
Look, Uh, as an IS officer, it has been a challenge, particularly in my initial, 20 years of service, to ensure continuity in tennis. So I was primarily a cricketer. So I played university level cricket during my student days. But then the reason why I had to migrate from cricket to tennis was that as an IS officer, I did not have the luxury to spend, say, 5 6 hours on a daily basis playing cricket. And then cricket, it's a team game. So you bank on 21 other players to also turn up on that particular slot, which sometimes doesn't happen, and it can be pretty disappointing. So cricket at best can be reduced to a weekend show. So, but I wanted to play something on a daily basis. So that was how I thought possibly I need to pick up a sport where I can, go for 2 hours, maybe 1.5 hours every day and slog it out. So that's how I picked up tennis. And then I realized that only the early morning hours, they are yours. So it's your choice what you want to do with them. Uh, your time of going to office, it's fixed. But in the initial years, when you are a district collector or in field assignments, you never know when you're going to quit the office. So even if you've chosen to go for a game of tennis, say 7:30 in the evening, chances are you get stuck up with something and you end up, quitting that slot. So that's when I resolved that my morning tennis will be just prior to dawn. So the first rays of sun, you should be on the tennis court, play for your quality 2 hours, and then go home, get ready, and be in the office. So that was my mantra. Play very early in the morning so that nobody disturbs you, and chances are very, very high that you get the time, you get the space to play tennis. And the late evening hours you reserve for the family. So in between the compulsory office hours, you do your job. So that was how largely I figured it out, and I think it has played out very well.
I'm sure, sir. So your suggestion is compartmentalize your time and then act on it. Make sure you give everything in the compartment that you decided, and then just give
Exactly.
120%. Okay, sir.
Yeah, it's very true. If you're playing tennis, just play tennis.
Right.
So if you are in office, do your job, and when you come home, be with the family.
Right, right. Sir, I'll ask you three quick questions, and then we'll end the session. Who's your favorite tennis player? Greatest of all time.
I'll not say greatest of all time because now that debate is largely settled in favor of Novak.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll say my favorite tennis player in recent times has been Roger Federer, and during my student days it used to be Boris Becker.
Oh, Boris Becker. Okay. And this my second question to you is, what is your favorite place to serve? Tea serve or a out wide serve?
The T serve.
The tea serve. Okay. And
Yeah.
my final question: what is your message to the 9 teams in the EPTL? What is your message? Should they look out for your team? What is your message?
My look, these kind of tournaments they should be enjoyed. So they should just come, enjoy, and play competitive tennis, and show good sporting temperament. And then at the end of it, the best team it wins. So these tournaments they are more for fun and participation, more for enjoyment. But yes, there has to be a competitive element in that. So that basically makes it turn out to be a good tournament. So some sort of camaraderie, like when we had the season one, everybody picked up new friends. in the tennis. So they were from other parts of the country. So I've picked up a player with whom I am partnering in doubles. Now he comes from Indore. So I also picked him up in my team. So you develop camaraderie while playing all these tournaments, and I think it's a very key ingredient. So they should come, they should make friends, and they should at the same time do it very competitive.
Sir, I love that your message is so balanced, but I know that you're definitely going for the trophy as well. I know you're playing the diplomat here, but I
No, no,
know for
I'm
a
not.
fact you're going to.
I never dilute on my combative side. Whenever I am on the courts, be it on a day-to-day basis, even a routine club tennis encounter, I take it very seriously, and I'm totally shut off from whatever is happening in the outside ecosystem. So I'm just on the court, and that's the way I play the tournaments as well. And this tournament is going to be no different. My only suggestion is that in these kind of tournaments, I think spirit of camaraderie it should also be factored in as a team. So
Absolutely,
you
sir.
should reach out, make friends, explore talent, and stay combative without being over the fence.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. On that note, thank you so very much. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for taking out your precious time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you again to my audience as well. I really hope that you also enjoyed this conversation. Please do keep tuning in. Thank you very much.